badly as like dressing in lime skorts and an orange plaid sweater, people notice. Publicly correcting a stranger's writing is as rude as asking someone with a fashion problem, "Did you think that looked good when you got dressed this morning?" I would do neither. Instead, I hope to raise the waters of good writing by distributing quick and dirty tips as widely as possible. Really, I can't resist. I get flashes of crazy memory tricks, funny phrases, and cartoons where aardvark, a blue aardvark, and Squiggly, a yellow snail, go on grammar adventures, and I love to share them all with you. Chapter 1, Dirty Words. Even though my show is called Grammar Girl, the secret is that it's not usually grammar that confounds people, it's usage. I get complaints from purists, but Usage Girl doesn't have the same ring to it as Grammar Girl, and my books and podcasts aren't for purists anyway. They're for people who actually need help. Usage is about choosing the right word or phrase. It's something teachers generally expect you to pick up on your own, and it's the thing you're most likely to get skewered for if you screw up. Life is so unfair. I don't recall ever being taught the difference between affect and effect, for example. I was just expected to know. Certain words are more difficult than others. I call them the dirty words, and we're going to tackle them here. An honorable challenge. A versus an. A lot of people learn the rule that you put a before words that start with consonants and an before words that start with vowels, but it's actually a bit more complicated than that. The actual rule is that you use a before words that start with a consonant sound, and an before words that start with a vowel sound. Squiggly waited for an hour. Aardvark was on a historic expedition. An hour is correct because hour starts with a vowel sound. People seem to most commonly get tripped up by words that start with the letters H and U, because sometimes these words start with vowel sounds and sometimes they start with consonant sounds. For example, it is a historic expedition because historic starts with an H sound. But it's an honorable fellow because honorable starts with an O sound. Squiggly had a utopian idea. Aardvark reminded him it's an unfair world. The letters O and M can be tricky too. Usually you put an before words that start with O, but sometimes you use a. For example, you would use a if you were to say, she has a one-track mind, because one track starts with a W sound. Squiggly wants to work as a missionary. Aardvark wants to get an MBA. Other letters can also be pronounced either way. Just remember it's the sound that governs whether you use a or an, not the first letter of the word. Pronunciation wars. Since pronunciation is what guides the choice between a and an, people in different regions where pronunciations are different can come to different conclusions about which is the appropriate word. Many pronunciation differences exist between British and American English. For example, the word for a certain kind of plant is pronounced herb in American English and herb in British English. Even within the United States, there can be regional pronunciation differences. Although the majority of people pronounce the H in historic, some people on the East Coast pronounce historic as historic, and thus argue that an historic monument is the correct form. In the rare cases where this is a problem, use the form that will be expected in your country or by the majority of your readers. Definitely. A and an are called indefinite articles. The is called a definite article. The difference is that a and an don't say anything special about the word that follows. For example, think about the sentence, I need a horse. You'll take any horse, just a horse will do. But if you say, I need the horse, then you want a specific horse. That's why the is called a definite article. You want something definite. At least that's how I remember the name. Tweedledee and Tweedlethe. I find it interesting that there are two indefinite articles to choose from, a and an, depending on the word that comes next, but there's only one definite article, the. But there's a special pronunciation rule about the that's similar to the rule about when to use a and an. The is pronounced the